Well, welcome everybody to, this will be the third annual appreciation party that the Copper Harbor Trails Club has hosted, and this is the first year it's known as the soiree. So we hope everybody enjoys the evening here. We're going to get started with the presentation. So just to start it out, this first slide here, kind of a good representation of the year. It actually started out somewhat controversial, hence the term, well, we did what? Well, the first thing that happened this year is we started building On the Edge last year. And On the Edge, as a lot of you know, as mountain bikers, it's a trail kind of along this cliff on Brockway Mountain that kind of falls into this ravine, and there's all these elevated boardwalks with large berms on them that fall down through this ravine. So first thing is the county calls us up like, you can't have those trails. We're like, well, why not? They're perfectly insurable. You know, basically, when we asked you to put these trails in, we told you that they were going to be difficult trails, but you know, it's not really up to the county board to micromanage exactly what is in the content of the trails. So, and then we actually got a question about our insurance, and everything came through, and it worked out on our behalf. You know, fully insurable. The national organization IMBA says these trails are perfectly acceptable, and so we continued on. And so the next thing we did is we hit them up with a proposal for downhill dirt jump trails, and they approved it. And so the year began. So new trails that we started, like the Flow. The Flow is finished, and it's one of our new and most improved trails. Lots of berms, lots of rollers and stuff. So it's almost kind of like a downhill pump track. It's a lot of fun, and we got a lot of compliments on it, and it became an instant hit within the biking community. Flying Squirrel, another trail that we started right after we got done with the Flow, is actually the first slope-style trail to be built in the Midwest. It's a downhill dirt jump trail with approximately about 35 features on it right now, and it's pretty exciting to see stuff like that being built in the Midwest region. Another exciting thing that we did in the beginning of 2011 is we worked our way in with the International Mountain Bike Association. This had been something that had been on the table for a couple of years. IMBA was starting this new chapter program, and it seemed like it had a lot of benefits. It was to bring a lot of the key clubs in the area and closely affiliate them with the national organization, and which allowed us to be part of what was going on in the country with policies for lobbying in Washington, and this also gives us lots of access to their resources as well. IMBA has a vast range of resource now from lawyers and lobbyists and everything else. So now we, as an affiliate and a chapter, now have access to these resources, and we also get preference when it comes to grants and stuff within this region. Another exciting thing that happened, so we became a chapter. Well, the first thing we did is we kind of have to define ourselves as a region. There had been a Midwest mountain bike summit, but the Midwest, if you look at it on a map, is just a very vast region, and it's hard to differentiate the areas, but we decided to call our area the Great Lakes, because a lot of the featured trails around the area between Marquette, Houghton, Copper Harbor, Duluth, the new trail system, Cuyuna, Minnesota, they all kind of are in a real confined region. So we decided to define that as the Great Lakes region, and IMBA wanted to jump in and help us promote this as a regional summit. And getting IMBA behind this and bringing in the Copper Harbor Trails Club, the Keweenaw Trails Alliance, and all these other groups from Duluth and Marquette allowed us to really draw representatives to the area that otherwise may never be here. Mike Van Abel, who is the executive director of IMBA, he actually is from Green Bay, so he had been before. He's been here before. He's always super excited about the Copper Harbor Trails, and his word actually helped a lot to bring these guys up. SRAM SRAM, who is the second largest parts manufacturer for bicycles in the entire world. 2 representatives from there, Ron Ritzler, who is one of their product managers, and then Mike Mercury, who is actually an owner. They came up to Copper Harbor with their families, and they just loved it. They were completely blown away by the beauty of the area, and they didn't believe that, 9 hours away from Chicago, where they live, there was an area like this, and it's only a 1-hour flight from them. They can jump in the airport, get up to Hancock quickly, and be up to Copper Harbor within a few hours. So I think they're going to be regular visitors now. Like I said, there was over 5 states represented in this Great Lakes Mountains Bike Summit that we held, and there was over 60 people. And these 60 people that showed up, they weren't just anybody. They were key figures in all these clubs. So there was actually a lot of discussion, a lot of skills building, and we got to throw ideas back and forth between each other. Okay, what's your club doing? And come up with a lot of good ideas of how to move forward and how to push the sport of mountain biking in the Midwest here in the Great Lakes region. Fat Tire Festival. Well, Fat Tire Festival, I think a lot of people here were there, and it was a huge year for the Fat Tire Festival. I think it was, Friday evening when we were doing registration, and we were just blown away by it. I think we almost reached our numbers from the previous year by whatever the pre-registration numbers were on Friday. So it was just a huge year for us. We grew by over 100 from 2010. We also had 60 kid participants in that. So numbers are getting bigger, and we're starting to realize that this is becoming a big draw to the area, and a lot of the trails are a big part of this. Within these 437 participants, there's over 11 different states that show up to represent themselves for the Copper Harbor Fat Tire Festival. And I've looked at previous years too, and it's usually around 70%, 65 to 70% of the people who show up for the Copper Harbor Fat Tire Festival are outside of the 4-county area here between Keweenaw, Baraga, Marquette. Most of them are from Wisconsin, Minnesota, downstate, so they come from a long ways away to come to the Fat Tire. The Trek product design team, well, this had been a long time in the making. There had been a lot of people telling them they usually do an annual trip where they go to some area and they work from a remote location for a week. It's kind of like a getaway for them while they do a lot of their presentations for their products for the new year. Well, this year they decided to come to Copper Harbor, and I've talked to many of them. There were only 2 out of the 20-something people who were here that had actually been here before, and just kind of feeling them out. They were just completely blown away by the area. And one of the guys said, it's like, well, this is proper mountain biking, and they always had referred to riding in the Midwest as actually just kind of, it's not mountain biking riding, it's just riding on hills. So they said, well, it's like, okay, well, we can legitimately say there's mountain biking in the Midwest. Joe Vadabancourt, he's the vice president of Trek, so he's actually the man who's basically in charge. He carries the checkbook around with him, and so he's a good person to have on our side. This guy has emailed me twice a week, a lot of times. Is the snow gone yet? And the fall, is there snow? Can I get up there? He has high hopes of being here a lot more than he can be because he's super busy. He's flying out and doing product development all over the world. But he's super excited about Copper Harbor, and that's going to boil down to being a huge benefit for the area because these guys have put their money where their mouth is, and this year they're going to be big supporters of the Copper Harbor Trails Club and all the events and everything we're doing. So we're super excited to have them on board. And with that, I would like to introduce a gentleman from our club. He's been one of the biggest additions in the last few years.
Oh, big addition.
Believe me, we don't have a lot of tech geeks around, and this guy has taken us to the next level with everything he's done with our website and our mapping. So I'd like to just give him a minute to briefly go over everything he's done for us.
Okay. So Aaron gets his break partway through, right? They can come up and talk for a little bit. So the website, you guys have all been there, I'm sure. It's a big part of this club, right? It's a big way we can take our little slice of heaven and try to share it with the rest of the world, right? We're always up against the big battle of we know it's great, but how do we convince everyone else out there that it's great, right? It's a long way to travel. So it's been a big push from us, and our numbers this year have been pretty good. For the year total, we had over 22,000 visitors. It's quite a few. That equals over 60,000 page views, right? So these visitors they're actively using the site and using the different pages on the site. Trails, next to the home page, when you first go there, our Trails page is our #1 page. That's got the most hits on everything. So most of the people that are coming here after they get past our home page, see our latest news, they're going on to our Trails page. That's the big draw, obviously, right? Second only to Fat Tire, and on September 6th, the day after Fat Tire, right, when everybody got home, everybody went on to the website, and that was our biggest single day out of the year. So we can see that looking at the numbers, we get a feel for how people are using the site and what's most important to those people, so that as we go into 2012, we can put our efforts there, right? So, Tony, paper maps. So the other thing I do is I help out with the mapping. Part of that is paper maps. It's our first step in the year. We got to get it down on paper before we worry about the digital realm, right? And this year we did our paper map that you guys had seen the previous year, but we also made sure all our maps were sort of on the same theme, right? We had sort of had things were in bits and pieces, and we wanted it to all sort of be one cohesive thing. So not only did we do our paper map of the summer trails, but we did our Fat Tire map for the course and our winter trails all sort of in the same theme, right? We've created a brand here at Copper Harbor, and we want to keep pushing that brand through everything, even if it's paper, right? Our summer maps are actually pretty successful fundraiser for us. We sold over 1,500 of them, and that raised us about $5,000. So that's pretty big for just selling some paper maps. It's a pretty good fundraiser for us. Like I said, we did the new Fat Tire paper map, and the winter map is available on the website for people to download. So, paper maps is where we started. And then we moved on into we got into our online maps, right? So this is my big push, my area, is to try to come up with ways to not simply give people lines to look at, but bring some life to those lines, right? We all see it when we go out and ride it, but these people that haven't been here don't know. They just see another line on a piece of paper, right? So using the internet and our website, we try to come up with ways to make maps that bring things to life. So if Tony shows our first map, one of the things we did for Fat Tire this year was we came up with the idea, well, let's give people a pre-ride, right? They're sitting there, they're wondering, do I drive 5-6 hours to Fat Tire? What's it like? Maybe they heard things that it's scary or it's hard. Maybe they heard things they don't know, right? So let's come up with a map that gives them a pre-ride. So actually, yeah, right there. So on our Fat Tire page, we have a link to our online pre-ride map. And so what we did that was nice for the racers, right, that are analyzing the race, they want to know what's going to be like. We color-coded things so they could see where the pavement was versus single track versus 2-track. So we've got our black, our green, and our blues. And we broke up all those pieces so that if you click on any section, you can jump there and watch video of that section along with all the stats. So you've got your elevations, and you can see the speed of the rider that's on it. The goal being giving people, what am I getting into? What's this going to look like more than just looking at the times, right, that are posted from the previous year. So maybe now, Tony, why don't we look at one of the other maps if you go back. So Fat Tire map was our first one of our big projects this year, the pre-ride. I think if you go back into PowerPoint, you've got, there you go. The snow race, we have our backcountry snow race, which is called the Tri-Winter Cup this year. This is another race where it's like, whoa, what are these guys talking about, right? It's a race in the snow. What am I getting into? So we made sure we had a course map up for them, but as opposed to video, because it is the winter months and we really want to try to push people to come up to the harbor all year round, we thought, well, let's do a map where we not only give them the courses, where if Tony clicks on, we've got our 8-mile course there, Tony. Not only do we show them the course, but then they want to know about other stuff. Where can we get food? Where can we sleep, right? So we mark where there's food to eat, mark where there's lodging. And then the area is not just Copper Harbor, there's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of other skiing that can be done, so we mark where cross-country skiing trails are in the area. And we also marked where the ski hills are in the area. So that people can look at it as we're coming for the race, but there's all this other stuff we can do in the area too. So it's worth taking a weekend to come up, right? We get the race and we get to do a bunch of other things, right? So again, more than just a flyer on the wall, it gives people a better sense of what they're getting into. So that was our backcountry map for the year. And then we got Tony's Super D. We have our Super D race, which is a couple years old now. It's a new race and it's becoming more and more popular. Our numbers got pretty big this year for the Super D, and we want them to keep getting bigger. It's our Saturday event. So Tony was kind enough to wear a camera for us during his run, and we made a map of it so people can see, okay, what's the Super D look like? And it also shows off the flow, which is probably one of our most popular trails, right? So it's a good sort of 2 birds with 1 stone. So I recommend you all go watch Tony's run. It's actually quite good. So especially the end. And then finally, at the end of the day, like we said, the most popular page is trails. That's what people are coming to the website. They want to see what our trails are, what they're like, how long they are, all that stuff. So our interactive trail map is really our biggest push out of all of it. This trail map is a couple years old now, but still hugely popular, as you saw from the numbers from 2012. A lot of people coming to the page, a lot of people looking at the map. The idea is simple. We break the map down, we break the trails down. You can go and watch the video of all of them. It's not just, again, not just a line on a map. You get more to it, right? And Tony playing with the layers, right? I mean, it's fun to not just have the paper, to be able to have all this interactiveness to it. So, and I put on here in the PowerPoint, if we go back to, we get a lot of feedback from people. A lot of people email the site after seeing the map, and this is actually one we got in this last month, and I'll read it. I'll read it because I want to.
Because it's awesome.
Because it's awesome, that's right. I just want to let you guys know how good that trail, and you can tell it's that I didn't make it up, because he did see the S and the non-capital I, right? It's proof that I didn't make it up. Anyway, I just want to let you guys know how good the trail map is for Copper Harbor Trails. That's how an online map should be. I work in the industry. I see tons of crappy web mapping applications. Most of them are unusable and don't readily show a person the information they are looking for. But with your trail map, with the videos that have a dot tracking the trail graphic, that is great. Keep it up and advertise and expand. I would rather see more maps like yours than most of the ones I see otherwise. That's a big deal for us, right? We see people are using it. It gets us motivated to go into the next year, to put more time and effort into it. We see that it's having an effect. And it's good to get some feedback like that, right? So anyway, that's the state of our websites, and that's the state of our mapping. And going into 2012, we really want to push our maps to be able to not only show off our trails and show how great we are, but also show the area and show how much potential there is for people that are looking for something to do on the weekends, that want to take the trip. It's not just about mountain biking. Our mountain biking's great, but there's mountain biking, and there's skiing in the winter, and there's other mountain biking trails, and there's lots of great places to stay and lots of great places to eat, and we want our maps to be able to push that too. So as we move into 2012, we're really going to keep working on that. So, cool. Check out the website.
Well, now, kind of one of the other key things for the year. Another exciting thing for 2011 and moving forward into 2012 is Ride Center. So, we actually were named International Mountain Bike Association Bronze Ride Center. And this, we feel, is going to be one of the biggest things moving forward. There's only 7 of these in the entire world right now. So, there's actually 5 bronze, 1 gold, and 1 silver. So we're actually looking at ways we can work our way up the ladder and take advantage of this ride center status. We'll talk about it more later as we go on too. So yeah, bronze level ride center. So we get into, it's like, well, what does this mean? Well, what does a ride center mean? Well, the epic status is what we had talked about before. We were really stoked when we got the epic ride status, and we were one of about, I think we were one of 48 in the country when we got named epic ride. I think now there's upwards of almost 60 epic rides in the country, so that's still a pretty prestigious ranking. But this new ride center status is something that is being more well protected and guarded by IMBA. Is something that they're really grasping onto and realizing it's their future of promoting trails. Basically what they're doing now is they have an actual ranking system in which points are allotted for all the different types of trails you have within your system, the community in which the trails are located, and they're really looking forward or for trails that have trails for everyone, because they want to point everybody to these trails and know that they're going to have a good time. This is also their latest marketing strategy to showcase the best trails in the world, that they know they can put their stamp on it, that these trails are basically up to par with the new trails that are being built all over the country. And they can push this. And when IMBA jumps on and starts pushing our trails for us, we really like that. And so this kind of means that within this year, there's going to be a lot more bikers headed through the Keweenaw on their way up to Copper Harbor, so we can expect to see a lot more of them around. So we're bronze level. Well, we're bronze level now, but based on our review last year, we were 2 points short. So, and then the trails that we actually built last year, Flying Squirrel, gave us another point, and there's actually a microbrewery going in Copper Harbor as well. And so that gives us another point. Chris Bernhardt, the director of the Trail Solutions program, will be coming to Copper Harbor for another review this spring, and it sounds as if we will be moving up to the silver level.
Yep.
The only other silver in the entire country is Oak Ridge, Oregon, and Oak Ridge, Oregon, it's a pretty amazing riding destination and has hundreds and hundreds of miles of trails. And if anybody knows anything about Oregon, it's a state that basically has not only their local governments behind it, but the entire state of Oregon is behind mountain biking and pushing it. So for Copper Harbor and the Keweenaw to really be able to stand up to what's happening in Oregon is a huge feat. And then the only gold is Park City, Utah, where it was the IMBA World Summit was held there about, I think, 4 years ago now. And it was chosen because of its trails that were there. But so really, we're going to be moving up and right in ranking with Oak Ridge, Oregon, and then we're going to start working our way towards Park City, Utah. So that was an overview of kind of what's happened this past year, the ride center stuff, and now we're going to kind of move on into the future of the Copper Harbor trails. What we're going to do to move forward and kind of bring Copper Harbor even more into the scene and really search out for that ranking as the gold ride center. Just to show that, through the rest of the country right now, bike parks are becoming a big part of bike trails. Just to get the younger enthusiasts involved and more active in their clubs, and to kind of show that there is trails for the younger generation. So when you go back to our first slide to say, well, we did what? Well, like I said, it was kind of a controversial move in that direction, but at the same time, we feel that the future of mountain biking is really pushing in that direction of trails that are more fitted to suit the younger generation, because really the entire mountain bike industry is kind of dependent on attracting those younger kids into the sport. So, moving on, well, Ride Center stuff, well, how do we get to gold? Well, as I mentioned earlier, with the ranking system, almost probably a quarter of the points within this ranking system are actually, for the community that it's in. And what there is to do, like Chris said, beyond mountain biking. Can you come to go mountain biking in Copper Harbor and then have all these other activities to do? Well, the more you have, the more points you score. And the more points you score, the closer you're going to get to this gold level. Trail diversification. So, well, as we work to expand our trails, we're really going to look to hit those places where we're actually lacking points right now. So we can kind of start filling in all these gaps, and once we fill in all these gaps, we actually are going to be installing more beginner-friendly downhill flow trails, more beginner-friendly dirt jump lines, more beginner-friendly parks and skills centers, and then all the way in line, we're going to try to fill in stuff for everyone. I was actually just out in Boulder, Colorado, where they actually kind of built the flagship bike park, you could say, with the Valmont Bike Park facility. And every place you went within this park, there was multiple features. So they actually ranked their features within small, medium, large, and extra large. So everywhere you went, whether it was dirt jumps or slope style, there was ways that you could progress on up the line. And so there's 4 lines everywhere you went. So anybody, you didn't have to get off the ground if you didn't want, but you could get used to hitting all these different features and move your way up.
Aaron, how much was the Belmont Bike Park?
Well, it had a little bit of sticker shock, but a lot of it went into the entire facility. They actually have restrooms and everything. So it was a 40-acre parcel right on the outside of town, and it was about $4.5 million. So, and out of that, $1.5 million was put directly into the trails there. So these trails are a little bit more expensive. Trail expansion, this is just a quick one. Let's keep expanding the trails, give more adventure and destination-based rides as well. And the more of that stuff you have, the more you're going to attract a lot of the cross-country riders too, who can go out on an all-day journey. So now what do we have to do? Well, we can do great telling everybody about it, but until we start putting numbers on paper, we're going to need a lot of this stuff to score higher in grants and kind of move forward to get these big funds necessary to build a lot of these parks. So, moving forward, we're going to try to figure out how many people are coming to Copper Harbor. Our club is taking a step right now to purchase trail counters, in which we're going to install on the trails. And so we know how many passes all of these trails are getting every year, so we can get that on paper, and we know what kind of impact mountain biking has as far as numbers. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to actually work with local community members to try to get surveys in motels, hotels, restaurants, where these people are staying, Fort Wilkins State Park, and we're going to try to get surveys in these people's hands to find out when they come to Copper Harbor on these types of vacation, how much are they spending, and then how long are they staying. Well, with these figures, what we can do is we can multiply, how much they're spending by how long they're staying, and if they're here for mountain biking, whatever else, we can figure, where and how much funding is coming into the community of Copper Harbor because of these activities. Club growth. Well, the club has actually been growing and growing exponentially every year, and it's almost growing sometimes too much to the point where we're all sitting around as volunteers going, whoa. But we really appreciate the task that we've been given, and we work hard to get it done. And this year we're going to be adding 2 more full-time trail builders throughout the summer, starting May 1st and working all the way through November 1st. We're looking at probably purchasing more equipment this year, which will be a huge step, so we can actually then divide and create 2 full crews, so we can start doubling our output. So if people think we got a lot done last year, well, we hope to double that this year.
These are paid.
Yes,
Paid.
and these are all paid positions. But as we keep moving forward, we do go through growing pains, and this is one thing that is definitely on the map. We realized it for a while that greater success brings on greater responsibility, and this responsibility has definitely been placed on the back of all the volunteers and the community within Copper Harbor to make this stuff happen, and it's sometimes been burdensome. So we look at ways to move forward in the future. We need more employees, and these aren't just the trail building employees now. We actually need probably an executive director for book keeping, fundraising, grant writing, marketing, and event coordination. And once we can figure out how to put these pieces of the puzzle in place, that's going to help keep our growth consistent, because no longer is it being dependent on volunteers anymore. We can start relying on professional employees to do this, to make sure that this stuff is getting done in the right fashion. So with this, this is why we need pretty much all hands on deck as we move forward. We're definitely growing, and we need everybody to come in and become directly involved with what we're doing. So everybody become a member, come out and volunteer. Every little bit helps, and spread the word. Tell everybody you know about the Copper Harbor Trails Club and the Copper Harbor Trails, and that's going to help us move forward. So a big thank you to everyone, and before I jump into it too much, I just want to kind of tell the story behind this picture, because there's a lot more than just a smile. The picture does say a lot, but a lot of you know Hansi Johnson, the International Mountain Bike Association regional director for our region. He's based out of Duluth, and so he was up over the Fat Tire for like a week, and he was like, well, I'm going to get Tay out on the trails, because Tay, the kid in this picture, has never really been out on and had a single track experience yet. So this bike has no pedals. He's 3 years old. It's a Strider bike. It's the one you sit on top of and you just kick. Well, he's like, well, I'm going to try taking him out on one of the trails. And so he took him up to the top of Whoopity Woo, and actually went down Whoopity Woo to the west. and this kid went for 3.5 miles. His first mountain bike ride, and this was his response. So this is what great trails do for your area. They bring in and they make everybody happy. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone, because I'm out there every day, and I hear it left and right, and from all these people who come up to me and are just like, oh, these trails are amazing, thank you, but everybody else doesn't. So a lot of it gets put to me and Sam, because me and Sam are actually the ones directly involved with the trails the most. But I just wanted to say that, without this community that we live in, we couldn't do this. And the success of the Copper Harbor Trails is as much a part of the community that we live in as any individual within the Trails Club working to make this happen. So everybody, please give a round of applause for yourself for making this happen. But then all the Trails Club board members, you should all stand up too, because you guys deserve a round of applause as well. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully 2012, I think, is going to be the best season yet. So thanks for coming. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Aaron. There's more food and drinks, so keep partying.
There's lots more beer.
Beer goes over. Yeah, it does.
Oh crap.